This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
It is Monday night. Once again, welcome to the Break the Bell Podcast.
Hello, beautiful bell breakers.
It's good to be here.
It is.
It's Monday.
Yes, I wasn't sure we'd make it.
Why weren't you sure we'd make it? Because of the UFOs?
No, I had a Super Bowl coma.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I almost didn't even make it to work. I was just like,
You have a little too much to drink for the Super Bowl?
a little bit too much food.
Well, I had that too. I think I went home and by like 10 o'clock I was like passed out.
Yeah, that was me too.
That's how you know you're old. It's just like
Yeah.
I had like 3 beers.
Yeah.
And I went home. I didn't drive, so don't think I did that. I was responsible. But 3 beers, went home, and my wife works third shift. She departed, and I was like passing out before I was like, go to bed, kids, and I just like fell asleep on where I
Yeah.
was. And it's just like, I remember back in the day, it's like Super Bowl party, man, you go to work hungover the next day because you've had a Super Bowl party.
yeah.
But now it's like
actual drinks.
yeah, now it's like you're lucky if you make it to the halftime show, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
when does this thing end? I'm really tired. I ate too much food, and
Yeah.
I had a couple beers. I just want to go to sleep now.
Yeah, that was pretty true.
And so that was me this morning too. It's just like, I guess I got to get up. This
Yeah.
is stupid,
I know.
but we're here.
We are. We made it, and all is right with the world.
And UFOs have not taken over the planet yet,
I know.
so that's
we
good.
thought that Joe Biden was going to have to mount up in a fighter jet and like take him on.
Derek Ambrose says another 2 hours of balloon talk today.
No,
Not-
Derek.
No,
Not
2
so
hours
lucky.
of UFO, unidentified floating object. No, this is kind of a follow-up to last week's 2-hour balloon talk episode. But we're not going to sit here and focus heavily just on the balloons and the UFOs and stuff. But a follow-up, like I was trying to avoid this topic, but like every single news headline, like major news source, that top headline was another UFO shot down, another UFO. It's just like, all right, what the fuck's going on? Do we dare talk about this again? Because obviously this is like a prelude, or like not a prelude. What comes after?
Epilogue.
Yeah, this is like the after effects of
Yes.
the balloon incident last week. So obviously now all of a sudden there's all these sightings and
Right.
all these things getting shot down and all this stuff, and it's just like we can't not discuss it at least a little. But
Right.
then it got me wondering. It's like, if every fucking headline is talking about this, what aren't they talking about? And so I think I do want to talk a little bit about the UFOs because it's really freaking bizarre.
Yeah.
And then I want to get into what are they actually covering up? Because I mean,
Right.
it's like I said, once again, it's like dominating the headlines.
Right,
Like
yeah.
UFOs, a UFO shot over Alaska, a UFO shot
Yeah.
over Montana, one shot in Canada, and it's like, oh, UFO sighting in Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
and
It seems like when they need some kind of distraction, it's like, okay, release the UFOs.
it's like, are we really going with UFOs
Yeah.
again?
right.
It's you had asked us, like, you were like, are they trying to normalize UFOs? And
Yeah.
can you actually normalize UFOs? So
I think you can. I do.
can you? You think we'll get to the point where we're like, oh, it's just another fucking UFO? Who
Well,
cares?
that's. We remember the last time they were like, oh, we're declassifying all this, and we were all like So
And
yeah, right.
you got any real news?
And I don't remember, was it during the vaccine or was it during COVID? It was during something big going on, and we were just like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, right. Now, my question, I guess, is, will it ever be normal to see, like, if you just look up and see something flying overhead and you're like, whatever. You think that will ever be normalized? Or it's just like, yeah, it's just another UFO.
I think we would we need more than just a UFO at this point, to get our attention. Like a UFO is fine, but we actually need to see like it. I don't know, it shoots something or like
lasers shoot out of it,
tentacles come out and wave or something like that to get our attention.
I guess. So yes, we are going to talk a little bit. We're going to focus less on balloons, more on the UFO part of it, but we're not going to hang out there for 2 hours straight. So don't worry if you were bothered by that last week. No, this is not a sequel to that.
There's too much other weird shit going on.
Yeah, it's just kind of a follow-up. But then on the other hand, we have like weapons grade chemicals being released from train crashes. We've got like the Nord Stream 2 being like the fingers being pointed directly at our president for the sabotage Nord Stream 2. We got all this stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
That's not even in the headlines because the headlines are dominated by UFOs.
Right. Yeah.
Which it's sad that UFOs are probably the thing that are going to impact our lives the least at this point.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, well, if I had to pick one, I guess I'd pick the UFOs over
no doubt,
over chemical warfare or something. I don't know, but it's bizarre of all the shit that's going on and nobody's talking about it. It's bizarre that 2 states over there's a train wreck with like massive amounts of chemical warfare materials being released into the atmosphere and them saying, hey, go back to your homes, it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's not in the news at all. Really not. You're not hearing about it. Derek says the government changed the name. They're not UFOs. They're UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena now. The government said so. Yes, I did see that they changed the name to make it not sound so like cliche and scary at the same time. It's just phenomena. It's not an object.
Oh, okay.
It's no longer an object. It's a phenomena.
It was not politically correct enough.
Oh, no. Definitely
the
not.
aliens were a little offended that they're objects.
He said like they changed the definition of recession and vaccine.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I don't know if you realize this, but the government can just willy-nilly change definitions at will. I think we read about this in a book called like 1984. So we just make up words and change definitions and stuff and everything's fine. And then they normalize it too. It's like, we've been like the balloons we talked about last week. It's like, balloons are always flying. Chinese have been flying spy balloons over the United States for years. And we're like, really? Like, what? We're just supposed to take this as like, oh, this is normal information because you said it's a normal thing. Now we're just like, oh, that is normal. So we must.
They're like, oh yeah, look it up, and then they put some articles on Wikipedia saying, oh yes,
So that's gonna be this UFO thing too, or UAP, I guess. We can't call them UFOs anymore. No,
it doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't sound as good as UFOs. No. Before we get into the episode, obviously we gotta mention, check us out all over the social medias, far and wide. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram at the handle at Break the Bell Pod. You can find links to all that stuff and all the shit that we do at breakthebellpod.com, which I need to update. I haven't updated in a while, so it might not be there anymore, or it might just be like hacked by like Chinese like Viagra salesmen or something. I don't know. But check that out anyway, and let me know if it's been hacked by Chinese Viagra salesmen, because I want to know too. You can find links to all our stuff, including our merch store, which sells awesome merch like these here on your screen. If you're listening, go check it out and you'll know what I'm talking about. Like the I Won't Eat Your Bug shirt, the We Are Not Your Pawns. We've got some logo merch, some other t-shirts, some cool shit there. So you can find links, like I said, at breakthebellpod.com to our merch store, our social media, everything that we do, you'll find. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. If you like, as soon as you show up, that's the first thing you should be doing. If you're taking the effort to show up, take the time to go hit the like button and the subscribe button and the share button so we can fuck over the algorithms as much as possible, because God knows they fucked us over plenty. So make sure you do that so we can share this far and wide and across the webosphere as we know it, because we just want to be famous. That's all. That's why we started the show, was to be famous,
yes.
and we're almost there. So help us push us over the hump by sharing and subscribing and liking and all that fun
we're
stuff.
a 7 on the scale.
Yep, we're almost there, guys. Just keep at it. Help us over that hump to be famous. So I don't know if I'd want to be famous. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with being famous. Like
I think we'd have a better chance of being notorious.
Yeah, well, when we're famous, people expect us to talk about
That's true.
I mean, a lot of censorship comes with being famous, like Joe Rogan has experienced. I don't want to get Joe Rogan, so maybe put us to an 8, not a 10. So not that we're.
Plus, everybody and their mom would want you to start a podcast for them.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're close to Joe Rogan status, but we're not quite there.
Yeah.
So, like I said, all over social media. I don't know. Is there anything else we want to say before we get right into this?
No, I think that's about it.
I've titled this episode Trains, Planes, and UFOs, but I guess I should have changed it to UAPs because can't go back on it now. No. So
you know what
sorry, we're politically incorrect here. So if you don't know, UFOs are UAPs. Just clear that up. Yep. We're gonna get right into this intro video, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about a little bit about UFOs and then a lot of it about the things that they're not talking about, like train wrecks and shit like that. So, and even we're going to sprinkle in some Jeffrey Epstein, because why not?
Yeah.
So
it's always fun.
Kick back, relax, enjoy the show. We will be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What did he say?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What did you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You talking to me? Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
And we are back.
Yes, we are.
Last week, just to recap, as Derek brought up, last week, we talked about spy balloons. We talked extensively about spy balloons.
Really extensively.
All the possibilities. We talked about the Japanese, like, firebomb balloons?
Yes.
We talked about how it would take, a matter of, 2 to 3 days to send a firebomb balloon across the Pacific.
Yes, they killed 6 people.
Killed 6 people in Oregon, and we've never heard about that.
Yes.
Until last week.
Right.
So you did learn something new last week. So we addressed all the implications, the possibilities, and everything, except we didn't really address the possibility of it being a UFO.
No.
Wait, that never. How did that not come up?
Yeah, I thought it, to be honest.
Oh, I thought it too,
yes,
but it just never came up.
No. Well, because I just didn't want to go there. I didn't want to be that guy.
Well, the government doesn't mind being that guy because they.
Of course not.
This whole last 4 days has been the government being that guy. It's like UFOs and even UAPs. Yeah. Like, we know what you're saying when you say UAP.
Yeah,
you're really meaning UFO. Like, if it's a fucking balloon or anything or similar to a drone, stop calling it like an unidentified flying object. Unless it's just like, dude, I have no fucking clue what that thing is. Don't call it a UFO because that's just gonna either spark like terror in people's minds or like people are just gonna think it's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
So recent days though, apparently our government of these United States of America has shot down not 1, not 2, but 3 UFOs since the Chinese balloon that got shot down. So we're talking 4.
Yes.
So I think we can still consider the balloon a UFO because we still haven't fully identified what was on it, and it was a flying object. So it was a UFO. So within the last 6 days, we've shot down 4 UFOs.
Yeah.
How's that make you feel?
Well, I think that's progress.
Yeah, I mean, we went from shooting down. like deciding should we not shoot down this? To
it
now
took
we're
us a
shooting
week to shoot down the first one, and then in a weekend we took down three
three
more.
more. Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, yeah, they're stepping up their game. So I want to get into those because we've got UFOs over Alaska, over Canada, over Lake Huron, which that's kind of Canada, United States. We've got reportings of anomalies in Montana again. What the fuck's going on in Montana?
What's the whole north? Right? It's like
I think it's Canada. It's
right?
fucking Canada.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that connects the dots here, because it's always like, because Alaska, it's on the Canadian border. Montana's on the Canadian border. Lake Huron, Canadian border.
Right.
These fucking Canadians and their
They need to
UFOs.
take care of their shit.
I guess. I don't know. Why can't they shoot down their own UFOs?
Right?
Good God, man. So let me get out of this music.
Because they banned all their stuff.
They did. So let's see. My first thought, I guess, is that it's probably more balloons. I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, it's probably more fucking
well,
balloons.
and that's the thing, because after this whole thing, they didn't they say they like ramped up their radar so they could pick up like more things.
Oh, they just turned up the radar. Is that how that works?
I think so. Well,
so
then they're picking up the
crank the
smaller
radar
stuff.
up to 11.
Yes,
So what
yes.
happens?
They don't need more 10. They need an 11. No, and so these are probably balloons from England and France and people that are watching us that don't want to know. They're like, oh shit, they found out.
It says Derek says the aliens have moved on from the cows in the Midwest to the moose in Canada. I mean, they are bigger.
That's bold. That's bold.
I mean, they must have turned up their beams, their tractor beams, to pick up a moose. So, like, I'm getting sidetracked so bad. But like I said, my first thought was, it's probably just another freaking balloon.
Right.
And then I got to thinking, isn't that a twist from Roswell?
Right.
Because Roswell this is clearly a UFO that the government is saying is just a balloon. And we're like, nah, that's not a balloon. That's a UFO.
Yeah,
and now it's the government saying UFOs. And we're like,
no,
that's just a fucking balloon.
Yeah.
It's like the skeptic in us will not believe the government. They're like, all right, this time we're not going to say it's a balloon, because last time we said it was a balloon and they didn't buy it. So this time we're just going to come out and say it's a UFO.
Yeah.
And these skeptics, man, we just can't win with these guys. Nope, just another fucking balloon.
Yeah.
And I mean, after last week, I mean, you got to just suspect it's probably just more of that, or just people seeing shit in the sky, like something blowing around, and then being like, oh, there's another one, But
I'm waiting for like a school class to like release like a whole bunch of balloons so these little notes can get to people in another state, and a jet fighter just swings through and blows them all to hell.
There you go. That would be awesome. So like I said, my first thought was it's probably another balloon. My second thought actually was, this time I was like, what the hell are they distracting us from? Because you can't go 2 weeks talking about the same thing.
You wouldn't think
in the
so.
news cycle, which they did. I mean, they shifted from balloons to UFOs, but it's like, but they're hyper focused just on this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, everybody look at the sky. Everybody keep looking at, do you see? And like, I was even caught myself driving down the road today, like looking up, like, I wonder if I'll see anything up there.
Something up there. But notice how in the articles now, they're not actually like coming out and giving any identification. They're just like, you would think like even the jet fighter, you would think like if you're going to blow it up, wouldn't you like, take a picture first?
The problem is with the Alaska one, that's where we're going to start. Because I want to talk, like I said, about the stuff they're distracting us from. But first, let's get to the UFOs. And first, I want to focus on this Alaska one.
Yeah.
Because apparently multiple fighters flew by this shit, and they all have different stories of what it is, how it is, what it's shaped like. Like it's, what is it, like shape shifting, or did they not see it and they're making up? They're like, oh, and they're like telling stories around the bar, like, I saw it. It had like 3 tentacles sticking out of it, and a tractor being picking up a Canadian moose.
A fucking moon.
Yeah, it was picking up a moose.
Yeah.
Did you see that? And another guy's like, it didn't do that at all. It was just there floating.
It was a balloon.
So let's first talk about Alaska. What we know about the unidentified object shot over Alaska. Let me try to pull up this screen that I'm not prepared for. Let's see here. Screen share. There we go. So this is from Eyewitness News, ABC 7. It says what we know about the unidentified object shot down over Alaska. So this was posted on Friday. Or not Friday, Saturday. So this was either the day of or the day after. I don't remember the exact timeline. I know it was over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, somewhere in there. But this was the first one that they pointed out after, like post, like we're in post Chinese balloon now.
Okay.
So PCB, post Chinese balloon
I like that,
era.
PCB.
Yeah. Yes. So it says an unidentified 10 miles off the frozen coast of Alaska on Friday afternoon. Now, first thing, why the first time?
Right.
Like the first time, they checked it for the coast of Alaska, all the way through Canada, all the way across the United States before they're like, oh, we should shoot that fucker down.
Right.
And they're like, there's another one, shoot that bitch down. And they shot it down 10 miles off the coast of Alaska. Says U.S. military pilots sent up to a subject gave conflicting accounts of what they, which is part of the reason why the Pentagon has been cautious in describing what the object actually is, according to the source. The incident marked the second time U.S. jets have taken down an object in less than a week following the shooting down of the Chinese. The other balloon was shot down at 1:45 Eastern Standard Time. So this is Saturday. Must be Saturday. It says, according to Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Patrick Ryder, who said recovery teams are now collecting debris that is sitting on top of ice in U.S. territorial waters. The object came inside our territorial waters, and the waters right now are frozen, but inside territorial airspace and over territorial waters. They had to say that.
They said territorial.
They had to really focus. This was territorial.
This was not someone other's territory. This was our territory.
I feel like they're like,
floating their ass,
floating themselves up, like, oh, as soon as it entered the territorial waters, we shot that bitch down. It's like we remember that you didn't do that last time. Because that was the first thing we asked. It's like, right as soon as it came within range, why didn't we shoot that shit down? Says, just happened. Just happened. I accidentally hit a button and lost the image.
Oh, gotcha.
The article. There it is.
Okay.
Says, fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command took down the object within the last hour. Asked about the operation on Friday afternoon. I guess this is Friday. This keeps jumping around. Joe Biden told CNN it was a success. All right. So they got it, guys. They did it.
We don't know what it was, but it was a success.
Here's what we know so far. F-35 jets were sent up to investigate after the object was first detected on Thursday, according to a U.S. official. Says, told reporters the first flyby of U.S. fighter aircraft happened Thursday night and the second happened Friday morning. Both brought back limited information about the object, but the pilots gave differing reports of what they observed. Some pilots said the object interfered with sensors, so some sort of like jamming device or something.
Right.
Like it made their sensors kind of go crazy.
Interesting.
But not all the pilots had that experience. So some of them said, yeah, it interfered with their sensors. Some were like, no, it was fine. What are you talking about? So again, how much of this is them like kind of exaggerating what was actually going on?
Right,
yes. Some excuse me. Some pilots also claimed to have seen no identifiable propulsion on the object and could not explain how it was staying in the air, despite the object cruising at an altitude of 40,000 feet. Now that to me says it can't possibly be a balloon, because if it was clearly or similar to a balloon, they'd be like, well, there's no propulsion system. How is this staying? Well, it's a fucking balloon. That's how it's staying in the air. But these guys were like, there's no propulsion system. There's no way this should be floating like this. So that tells me it's not a balloon.
Right.
It also, getting more into the explanation here, where they're not saying it's not a balloon, but they're not saying it's not a balloon. They give away some key things that says to me, this is more than just a balloon. Says the conflicting accounts are partly why the Pentagon has been unable to fully explain what the object is. Reach for comment. U.S. Northern Command spokesperson told CNN that the Pentagon has nothing to add at the moment. Kirby said Friday that Biden was first briefed Thursday evening as soon as the Pentagon had enough information. It's unclear what the object looks like or where it came from. On Friday, Ryder said it was traveling northeast across Alaska. He declined to provide a physical characteristic, saying it was about the size of a small car and not similar in size or shape to the Chinese surveillance balloon. So that, I mean, you could say it's not the size, like it's much smaller than, but to say it's not the shape, like there's only so many shapes, unless it's like a dog, like twisted dog balloon.
Somebody was really good,
like a balloon animal. Let go.
That'd be sweet.
Says we're calling this an object because that's the best description we have right now. We don't know who owns it, whether it's state owned or corporate owned or privately owned. We just don't know. What? You don't know fucking anything, apparently. Right. Derek says we found more UFOs over the U.S. in last week than we ever found of weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East in the last decade.
Truth.
It's very true. Ultimately, the object, or it says, Ryder also emphasized officials do not know the origin, which did not appear to be manned, and it was shot down because it posed reasonable threat to civilian air traffic as it was flying about 40,000 feet. Now, remember, the balloon last time was 60,000 feet, so it wasn't...
Yeah, they weren't as concerned.
It wasn't in, like, air traffic range, and there's potential that we couldn't shoot it down anyway. But, yeah, there's no threat because it was a lot higher. This one, obviously, was lower, so we clearly had to shoot this down. Ultimately, the object was downed near the Canadian border in northeast Alaska by an F-22 fighter jet. Alaska equipped with an AIM-9X, the same aircraft and missile used to take down the surveillance balloon. A U.S. official said the military waited to shoot the object down during daylight hours to make it easier for the pilots to spot it. Ryder said the mission was supported by aerial assets from the Alaska National Guard. The Alaska National Guard and its units, along with HC-130 Hercules, blah, 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 a bunch of support, are all participated in the effort to recover the object. Apparently, there's no connection to the Chinese balloon. Now,
how do they know that?
This is interesting because when asked if lessons learned about China's balloon assisted in detecting the object shot down over Alaska, Ryder said it was a little bit of apples and oranges, which again tells me this is not a fucking balloon.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's like, why are we comparing these are two nothing in common. Like apples to oranges doesn't say, well, this is two different scenarios. No, it says these have nothing in common.
Yeah.
This is not the same thing, not remotely close.
Yeah.
So what the fuck was this?
Right.
Like somebody had to have seen something, a shape or something.
Right. Yeah.
Like you had how many jets fly by this thing? Yeah, they're giving conflicting reports. But what shape was this thing?
Yeah, somebody should be able to pick something out and be like, well, it was like a car.
No, it's the size of a car.
Yeah.
But it was not anywhere the same shape or size as the Chinese balloon. So again, what was it? So, what else do I got here? Anything else on this? Have you heard anything extra to add to the
no, not
the Alaska one?
No, not on the Alaska one at all. So
yeah, like I said though, it sounds like they're saying without saying that it's not a balloon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. I feel like if you don't know what it is, just let us speculate that it's a balloon until it's not a balloon. Exactly. So then our minds aren't thinking that it's possibly something like an alien craft or something. Because then they're like, well, it has no visible propulsion system that we know. It's just like, what kind of alien technology is this?
Right. Yeah. Right.
And again, it could just be like a freaking dog balloon type animal balloon up there
floating through the jet stream.
Before we get into the next one, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's a coincidence that less than a month ago, the government released its largest cache of UFO reports ever? Like back 15, 20 days ago, they came out like, we're going to release this trove of UFO reports that we've been sitting on since the 70s, since Roswell. We're going to release all this information. And then all of a sudden there's all these UFO sightings immediately after this happens.
You think the UFO people are pissed? Like, dude, it was a secret.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like they were preemptively
that's what I think. So
priming us for something.
They always seem to telegraph what they're going to do.
It's like Bill Gates, with the COVID, how he's like, this is going to happen. This thing's we're going to have this virus that's going to end up jumping off an animal into humans, and
Yeah.
it's going to wipe out. And then 6 months later,
Right.
COVID happens, jumps off supposedly animals, and just like, wow, that guy is an amazing
Right. Yeah.
fortune. That guy should like be in the stock market or
right.
something, or go to the craps table. I don't know.
That's why we were expecting this massive cyber attack, because they did the same thing. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be like the next big thing.
So I do have this article. I don't want to much into it if it'll load, but it talks about that freaking. That's not the one. I don't know where it went. It talks about the U.S. report coming out, but because they talk about like how within the last 3 years, the amount of sightings has just like increased like multitudes, like multiple times increased, like the amount of sightings of UFOs by like the DOD and Air Force jet pilots and stuff.
But now we have to question, like, okay, what the fuck were they? I mean, were they actually extraterrestrial, or were they,
because
bigger than normal geese?
Well, it talks about, it says, according to the report, UAP reportings is increasing, which is enabling a greater awareness of the airspace and increased opportunity to resolve UAP events. So we're seeing more, so we can figure out how to handle them more. So that on the positive side here, the more UFOs we see, the better we can prepare to handle them.
But do we want to shoot them down?
It says as of August 2022, there have been 510 reports, though additional information is limited to the classified version of the report. It touts the establishment of the Department of Defense All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. So we have a task force for this now.
Of course, we had to.
Which the government hopes will aid in resolving UAP sightings. The Pentagon's public attitude towards the sightings of UFOs, now rebranded as UAPs, has shifted dramatically in recent years. Notably, in April of 2020, the government made a surprise move to declassify 3 videos captured by instruments aboard U.S. Navy aircraft, which, having previously been leaked to the public in 2017, depicted an encounter with fast-moving unknown objects. Lawmakers later included a stipulation in the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021 that required the Office of Naval Intelligence, which has now been superseded by the newly created blah, 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 ARROW, to submit an unclassified report to Congress detailing the nature of these unexplained phenomenon. So Congress came out and was like, you need to tell us what the fuck's going on, basically. The preliminary assessment, which was released in June of 21, detailed 144 UAP sightings made by reliable sources. What's a reliable source? Is that like
Joe down the street that owns a gas station?
Is that what Randy Quaid on Independence Day? Is he a reliable source? What's a reliable source? I mean, he was a reliable source, I guess.
At the end of the day, yes.
Says in 17 years between 2004 and 2021. So 144 UAP sightings from 04 to 21. But then at the top it says 510 just since August of 2022. So it's ramped up incredibly in the last year or so.
Yeah.
It says a significant number of phenomena in the report couldn't be easily explained, including some which moved at considerable speeds and without discernible means of propulsion. So that's back to our floating lack of propulsion thing we saw over Alaska. The newfound openness of the government approach led to dramatic upsurge in the number of unexplained sightings in the wake of the public release. Now, the concerning thing to me isn't about all the reportings. It's the openness of the government part, the newfounded openness. Like, what's going on that the government's like,
they've kept it hidden for what, 80 years, and now all of a sudden they're coming out.
Derek says, we, the DOD, can neither confirm nor deny that the object may or may not have been extraterrestrial origin.
Yeah.
So we can get video of them. They're fast moving, but if they're just hovering, can't do it. I mean, that's a fair point. We did have that video.
Yeah.
We've seen it. I think we played it on here of the jets like tracking this like weird fast moving, like shooting in and out, like making sudden changes. We got video of that. Of 2 jets, got video of that. But yeah, there's just this thing floating.
Yeah.
And nobody can get a clear picture of what nobody knows even what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck? I mean, that's a fair point. Thank you, Derek, for pointing out. But again, back to like the government openness.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, all these anomalies keep coming out.
Right. Yeah.
And have upticked times like 1,000% or something like that since the government decided to be more open about it. Like, what do you think's really going on here?
Yeah. It makes me think that there's some kind of listening devices, some kind of surveillance devices that if it's not the government, that it's a foreign entity using.
They're covering for something.
Yeah.
Whether it's like their own technology they're covering for, or the possibility of like false flags. We've talked for years now about if UFOs were to be a thing, it would be clearly a false flag.
Yes.
Like false flag for something else.
Right, exactly.
Like,
it's all Watchmen.
Yeah, they take out our power grid. They shut down the power grid and to kill off half of us, but they blame it on a UFO or something. And how are we going to know?
Right.
You set off an EMP and say it's UFO. How are we going to know?
Yeah, especially when there's no electricity. I mean, you just be like, well, shit, that happened.
Yeah, it's just like, well, I guess it was UFO. They said so.
So what is your opinion on that? I mean, what's your opinion on aliens? Are they out there? Are they here?
I think if they're out there, they would be embarrassed to come here. They'd take a look and be like,
would you be a little pissed if they shot something down of yours? It's like, oh shit, that was my kid's UAP.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little, but I don't know what I think about aliens. I think there's possibility out there, but I mean, if they do show up, we're fucked anyway.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
you might as well just ride the wave. I mean, if they have the technology to get here,
right,
they have the technology to obliterate any kind of weaponry that we have, because we don't have the technology supposedly to get back to the moon.
Right.
Like we lost that technology somewhere between our tuna can that ran on like Game Boy sized processor.
Right.
We lost that technology and we're still trying to figure out how to get back to the moon.
Yeah.
But they have the technology to come here, travel across the universe to get here. If it is nefarious, if they are here to wipe us out, we don't got shit for weapons that's going to compare to what they have. Our Space Force, our military, whatever, our nukes, nothing. I mean, we're just going to, I mean, we might as well just say, fuck it, bend over and grab our ankles, I guess.
Right.
Let's keep going on this train. System of a Down. System is Down is here. I wish the System of a Down was here. It'd be more prominent than the System is Down. System is Down. Dan says Hollywood never predicted how little we would gaffe about an alien invasion. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. We're like, yeah, fuck it. If there's an alien invasion, and they're like, man, we put through millions of dollars to prepare people for an alien invasion. Now they're just like, fuck it.
Yeah. Could you imagine like the alien invasion movie that was like that? When people were like, yeah.
Well, you did on Independence Day get the people partying on the
roof.
That's true.
There's
a girl that's like, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
And then they just got blown up. Yeah. So, yeah. That I feel that's probably somebody will post it on TikTok. It'll be awesome. System is Down says, by gaff, I mean, given unidentified flying fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's move forward because we have Alaska. Then, like literally the next day after Alaska, the U.S. shot down a cylindrical. I can't talk.
This is a tough one.
A cylindrical object over Canada. Does that sound like a balloon?
I mean, it could be.
It could be like a blimp or like a odd-shaped balloon, but the fact that they pointed out that this one was cylindrical,
right, at least somebody got a better look at it than the last one.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. This one says a U.S. F-22 jet shot down an unidentified cylindrical object, so UCO now, over Canada on Saturday. The second such incident in as many days, as North America appeared on edge following a week-long Chinese spy balloon saga that drew the global spotlight. Separately, the U.S. military also scrambled fighter jets in Montana to investigate a radar anomaly that triggered a brief federal closure of airspace. What the hell is going on? It says those aircraft did not identify any object to correlate the radar hits. So it's just a glitch in the radar, I guess. We turned it up to 11 and it fucked up.
That's what happens.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau first announced Saturday's shootdown over the northern Yukon Territory, saying Canadian forces would recover the analyzed wreckage. Their defense minister, Anita Anand, declined to speculate about the origin of the object, which she said was cylindrical in shape. She stopped short of calling it a balloon, but said it was smaller than the Chinese balloon shot down off the South Carolina coast. Aloft at 40,000, again, 40,000 feet. I feel like they're making this shit up because now they're just conveniently floating at 40,000 feet, which happens to be in range of our air vehicles. So we have to shoot them down. There's no reason to believe that the impact of the object in Canadian territory is of any public concern. So why didn't we shoot down the balloon over Canada last time?
Right, exactly.
The Pentagon said NORAD detected the object over Alaska late Friday. So this one also took the Alaska path, but then had just gotten to Canadian territory.
Yeah.
And then they shot it down. And the U.S. and Canada fighter, like air forces, combined forces, and to shoot this thing down. Sound a little made up to you?
A little bit.
So now we've got a balloon last week traveled across Alaska, Canada, the United States. Then something, not a balloon, apples to oranges, traveled into Alaska territory, got shot down. And then a cylinder floated across Alaska and into Canada and got shot down.
I feel like Trudeau really felt like he needed something to shoot down.
He's like, bitches, I need my UFO too.
Sacre bleu.
What do you think?
It just sounds like bullshit to me. It
Which
really
part?
does. All of it.
Why? Are we really that skeptical to even believe that
Yes,
UFOs are a thing now?
Yes.
That's how far we've come. It's like
yes. Because our
40 years ago, we were so skeptical that everything was UFOs.
Yes.
But now we've graduated beyond that we're so skeptical that even UFOs don't
we've
exist.
moved the line.
Yes.
We're so sure that our governments are doing shady shit that they don't want us to see, that they're all of a sudden talking all about aliens, things they couldn't talk about for 80 years. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, look, aliens.
The system is down says it's the Oscar Mayer Wiener mobile trying some new marketing.
No, that would be cool.
That would be freaking awesome. And I'd be okay with that. So now we've got Alaska. We've got Canada. We've got Lake Huron.
Yes. They had to shut down the airspace for Lake Huron.
And they shot something down.
Yes.
But this time, I guess, the White House gave us further details. This one is weird, though. They're all different. Like every single one is like a different shape.
Yeah.
This one says that the White House has given further details about the UFO shot down by the military Sunday. So this one was Sunday. So we have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And each day it seems like there's a little bit more detail to each one.
Yeah.
Right? The first one that nobody had a clue. The second one, it's like, well, it was cylinder. And this one, it's like, well, we got a pretty good idea what it looked like.
This one was flying 20,000 feet when it was shot down. And it was octagonal in shape is what this had said. Let's see if I can find that. Where did it go? Did they delete that part?
I remember seeing that part as well.
Says a senior official has approved new details to myself. They were detailing what exactly it looked like. It was flying 20,000 feet when shot down. It was flying over part of Michigan's Upper Peninsula and near Lake Huron. It was ultimately taken down by a fighter aircraft, described as having an octagonal shape, and there were strings hanging from it with no discernible payload. That is concerning to me because where'd the payload go and what was it?
They dropped it in Huron.
Yes. What was the payload? Because clearly there should have been a payload,
right?
But there's no payload. So something flying, but I've never heard of an octagonal balloon, but I guess it's possible. Says another source that was briefed on the matter also shared the description. The White House has not given further details regarding the object, but the latest developments come after a number of other UFOs have been shot down. So again, that's all the information we're told. Now, from day one almost, it seemed like we knew that the Chinese spy balloon was a Chinese spy balloon.
Right.
And they gave us that information immediately on the spot. This one, they're like, yeah, we're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
But it's octagonal. I mean, they're probably releasing stuff that has already been seen, like discerned from the ground, because they're only releasing like shapes because nobody saw it off the coast of Alaska, because who's up there looking off the coast of Alaska? Maybe Sarah Palin. She can see Russia from her house. So
you know she can see the balloons.
So until she comes out, we're not going to know. But in Canada, somebody looked up and like, oh, there's a cylinder shape in the sky. And they're like, well, I guess we got to admit that it's cylinder shaped. And then there in Iran, they're like, oh, it kind of looked like an octagon shape. So they're not releasing anything that we couldn't have seen with our own eyes.
What if these were like, carrying like, I don't know, troop carriers or something like that, right? And they drop the troops off, and then the balloons get blown up, and there's
carrying troops on a balloon at 40,000 fucking
underneath,
feet.
right?
Good God. I mean, those are some brave, those are some committed soldiers.
Chinese.
That's true. I feel like they're, especially middle of the winter in Canada or Alaska.
Well, they didn't know.
Would they drop like frozen Chinese popsicles to the ground?
I don't know.
And we're gonna find a bunch of frozen like Chinese people in the forest of Canada here in the next couple
Lake
months.
Huron.
Yeah, no, totally unrelated though. So, I mean, again, coincidence? You think these are all or do you think these are all connected? Do you think
I think they're all connected.
They're covering for something? What do we have going on?
Yeah.
I mean, this is very, very specific.
Yeah.
Like,
it's all very odd.
It is. It is rather odd. And it's rather odd the timing of it, how all of a sudden it just happens.
Right. After the Chinese
balloon. And now all of a sudden this is a normalized thing to just see things floating across Canada and into our skies over here, our sovereign sky space or whatever. I don't know. Did you hear about the Salt Lake City one though?
I did not hear about
Now this one seems totally unrelated and possibly completely made up, but this one is the most bizarre one because let me share this. This was like supposedly like what you would think of a UFO. Like, you remember when we saw the video of the fighter jets and it was like this weird triangle shaped thing? Well, that's similar to what this looks like. I don't know if you can see from where you're sitting, but this guy was very specific on the details. Let's see if it'll play the video. You see that thing just kind of floating around?
Yeah.
A little speck up there.
You said it was September?
I guess maybe it was. No, because this says last updated recently. So I don't know. Maybe this did happen and they just updated it because of everything that's going on now. Now, the fucked up thing is how specific this guy was, because you saw that little speck there.
Right. Yeah.
This guy claims to estimate that it was around 60 to 75 foot in length and approximately 1,250 to 1,500 feet in the sky. Could you have discerned that from that video you got there?
I really could not.
Because my thoughts on there is it looks like a freaking kite.
Right.
And it's a lot closer than what you're thinking. But like, what guy just some rando guy on the ground just like looks up, he's like, I bet that's about 1,250 to 1,500 feet in the sky, and it's approximately we got 75 to 100 feet.
We got lucky and got
60.
Rain Man.
I guess. I mean, was he using like a golf scope range finder or something? Like how do you estimate? Like, I can't even comprehend what 1,200 feet in the sky looks like.
Right.
I couldn't look up at a jet and be like, I bet that's about whatever 5,000 feet.
I mean, what
in
is
sky.
that, like 6 miles?
Well, yeah. Well, 1,200 feet would be about 2 miles. It would be about 2 miles up.
2 miles. Okay.
5,000. About 2.5 miles up in the air.
Yeah. So I mean, how the hell can you see something like that and make that kind of
make that kind of
right?
discernment? It's like, about 3 miles up. I see a jet, and every jet looks about the same distance high.
Exactly.
Like, I look at two jets, I'm like, they're gonna fucking crash because they're the same height. So, I don't know where this information's coming from. I don't believe this shit.
Yeah.
I think this might be like a bag flying around the sky and that guy. So I mean, that's what we have to work with though. Like, when we got that mixed with this shit that's going on today, it's like, what's credible, what's not? And that's been the whole problem with like UFO sightings since the 60s and 70s or 50s, whatever. What's a reliable source here? Is it a guy's cell phone saying about 1,500 feet in the sky?
But again, the government has never come out and volunteered any information.
What's sad is I trust that guy more than I trust what the government says.
Fuck yes.
It's like,
I trust the double rainbow guy more than I trust what the government.
Yeah, it's like, is this a credible source? It's like, well, we have that or we have NORAD.
Right. Yeah.
Like, who do we trust more? NORAD or the guy with his cell phone on TikTok?
I mean, you can get on NORAD's site and follow Santa Claus around the world. So yes.
So before, like, we're getting close to halftime, I want to wrap up the UFO talk. I want to ask, Like, why now? Why are we normalizing UFO? Because you said, are we normalizing UFOs?
Yeah.
Why? For what purpose?
Either they're getting ready for some kind of big reveal, right? And so they're trying to prepare people, right? Or they really are just trying to get people distracted on things so that they can do something that they want to do.
Now, I have three possibilities here. The
Okay.
first one is probably the obvious, to show that they're doing their fucking job. After last week, after a whole week of people saying, why aren't you doing your job?
Biden's week.
Why aren't you shooting this thing down? It's like, let's just put a couple of more up there and shoot them down and be like, look, guys, we shot him. We're doing our job. It's like day late, dollar short. Like you already let one go all the way across. Or maybe they're like, well, you don't realize how many of these things we're actually tracking, that to let one go by isn't really like when we're like, we've shot down 3 in the last 3 days. We're doing our job. Good for us. Pat on the back.
That seems like a Biden thing.
That's
to do.
a pretty likely scenario there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, scary, but that's pretty, that's a viable story there.
Absolutely.
Number 2, they're trying to cover up what they are actually doing.
Yes.
By saying it's China or saying it's UFO or something, because I missed this. In 2019, the Pentagon was testing mass surveillance balloons across the United States.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
This is bizarre because of where they tested them at. Because it says the U.S. military is conducting, again, this is 3-4 years ago, conducting wide area surveillance tests across 6 Midwest states using experimental high altitude balloons. Up to 25 unmanned solar powered balloons are being launched from rural South Dakota, drifting 250 miles through an area spanning from Minnesota to Iowa to Wisconsin, Missouri, and Illinois. It's kind of the similar regions of where these UFOs have been sighted.
Yeah.
Like the northern to Midwest regions. And remember, we talked about, hey, they're hitting all the redneck areas where
watching the militias.
Yeah, watching the militiamen. Well, it's interesting because it talks about, says providing a persistent surveillance system to locate narcotic trafficking and homeland security threats. What do they see since 2019 as a homeland security threat?
Right. Domestic terrorist.
Militia people, where all those spy balloons are, where the Chinese spy balloons are spying. So it says traveling the stratosphere at altitudes of up to 65,000 feet, they're intended to provide persistent surveillance systems to locate and deter narcotic traffic and homeland security threats. The balloons are carrying high-tech radars designed to simultaneously track many individual vehicles day or night through any kind of weather. The tests, which have not previously been reported, received an FCC license to operate from mid-July until September, following similar flight license last year.
No, but maybe that's the thing. Maybe they have these balloons up there since 2019. Maybe their lifespan is, 4 or 5 years, right? And they start to lose their altitude. Now they're in a danger zone, right? They're up from 60,000, they're down to 40,000, 20,000, and they need to clean up their space, right? And this is the perfect time to do it because we just saw a Chinese balloon go through.
People are just starting to notice these things and like Chinese spy balloon. It's not us, it's a Chinese spy balloon. There's all these Chinese. So now when people start seeing them, we're like, oh, Chinese spy balloons. We're not like, oh, the government's watching me from a freaking balloon.
Well, and that's one of the reasons I said, that one of these is probably like Britain, one is probably France, because everybody has fucking balloons and they're probably all up there.
Now, Derek makes an interesting point that I didn't even consider. He says, look, a shiny thing in the sky. Please pass over an inflated budget so no one notices.
Yeah.
What happened? All of a sudden we find that we need this. I mean, they have that task force we said that's like battling UAPs or whatever.
Right. Star Force.
Yeah. How much can we funnel now through this force to battle these unidentified balloons in the sky? And how much money laundering can go through that and be like, oh, you saw the balloons. I mean, it's been all over the TV. We need more. We need to increase our military spending. We need to battle these dangerous balloons in the sky.
Right.
So that was number 2, was to cover up what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like they're spying on us with balloons. So let's just say it was China or
Right.
aliens, one of
Right.
the two. So people are off the scent of them doing it. Number 3 is to keep us from looking at the sky, or keep us looking at the sky, to keep us from looking at what the hell else is going on.
Right.
Because again, like I said, last week the news was full of balloons, including us.
Right.
Unfortunately, this week the news was full of UFOs. Keep staring at the sky, because what's going on? What are the stories that they're avoiding? What are the topics that they're not talking about? And that's where I want to get to now. We've spent almost an hour. I said we weren't going to talk that long about UFOs. It's been almost an hour talking about UFOs. So I think it's time to move on. You ready to move on?
I am ready to move on.
I mean, we'll probably bounce back to UFOs eventually.
Of course. How could we not?
But I want to move on because one story that slipped through the cracks, which I had seen. What is this? This is one story that I had seen, but it just completely left my my freaking interest, not my interest, but my attention span, I guess, was that this guy, this investigative reporter came out and said that the Nord Stream gas pipeline was blown up by us.
Which we suspected.
But now
there's proof.
According to this investigative reporter, he knows based from firsthand knowledge and stuff that we did this, and it was under the direct supervision of Joseph Biden. Now, at first thought, what are the implications of that becoming public?
I mean, would it be an act of war
against who? Not Russia, because where was that gas going?
No, that's true. Germany,
and
Germany, we know won't do anything.
Well, no, but the point is, if it's an act of war, it's not us declaring war on our enemy.
It would be an ally.
It would be declaring war on our ally. Like, we single-handedly disrupted the energy grid to one of our freaking allies, to multiple allies.
But I mean, Biden called it. I mean, when Putin was going to Ukraine, he's like, hey, there will be consequences for this.
Right.
Well,
this says Nord Stream gas pipeline attack was carried out in response to Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion of neighboring Ukraine, according to American investigative journalist Seymour Hersh. Says the U.S. Navy's specialized diving team has carried out the explosions at the underwater Nord Stream pipelines, which supply Russian gas to Western Europe during a secret mission overseas by President Biden. Remember, we talked about there was kind of a war game type thing in that general vicinity at the time, and just coincidentally that blew up a few days later. Well, he's saying that was the cover for this.
Right. That makes sense.
Says, as per Hersh, divers trained at the U.S. Navy's Diving and Salvage Center in Florida planted C4 explosives on 3 pipelines in June of 2022. They were detonated after 3 months using a sonar buoy, which broadcast a signal that triggered the bombs. The Nord Stream attack was carried out in response to Putin's invasion of Ukraine, claimed Hersh. He further said the motive behind the attack was to force Germany and other European nations to end their reliance on Russian gas and thereby disrupt Moscow's income from sale of energy.
And again, that sounds exactly like...
That's basically what we said that they were doing. And like you said, Biden told them, it's like, you got to get off this. And they're like, yeah, we will.
Right. Germany was being wishy-washy, and we knew. And again, this is Biden's MO. I mean, he did the same thing with American workers. Like, well, they'll just have to get jobs at the solar plant.
Right. Says explosions were reported in September 26, 22. An attack that ostensibly continues to puzzle investigators. Yeah, because they're not investigating
the United States
for real. An over 5,000-word report, Hersh claimed the top secret and highly dangerous operation was carried out by divers during the Baltops 22, a series of military exercises in the Baltic Sea carried out by 16 NATO countries. Citing a source with direct knowledge of the operation planning behind the alleged plot of explosions. Hersh said the divers reportedly used the 13-day event in June as cover for their top secret mission. So they went to this event. Some of them drifted off, and these divers went down and planted these explosives. And then later, somebody came with this
sonar thing,
sonar buoy that was dropped from an airplane flying overhead that triggered this explosion. It sounds kind of made up, but I don't put it past them.
No.
Says, as per the report, the U.S. allegedly began planning for the attack amid Russia's mobilization of troops and fears inside the White House that the Nord Stream 2, which was completed in 2021, would enable the Kremlin to further weaponize its energy supply. In December, okay, it's interesting because it said, I think it was Norway that dropped the buoy. So another completely separate country dropped the buoy.
Okay.
So we got multiple players involved in this thing. So, but this again, completely overlooked. Like, have you seen this really too much?
No,
in the
this is
headlines?
the first time I've seen this.
Oh, so you haven't even heard this at all?
No. I saw something that this person put on Instagram about it, and I just saw Nord Stream 2, and I was just like, well, okay, what else are they doing? So
says Hirsch mentioned his source saying that the planning team chose Norway as the ideal base for the operation because the Scandinavian nation hated the Russians and the Norwegian Navy was full of superb sailors and divers who had generations of experience in highly profitable deep sea oil and gas exploration. Okay. Initially, the plan was to plant explosives with a 48-hour timer, but later the White House asked for a method that would allow more control over timing of the blast, after which the buoy technique was developed. On September, the buoy was dropped by Norwegian Navy surveillance plane during a seemingly routine flight, and the explosives detonated a few hours later. The White House has dismissed his report, saying it's utterly false and complete fiction.
Well, of course.
The CIA has said it's complete and utterly false.
That means it's totally true.
Yeah, when you have to really reiterate the fact of how completely and how utterly and how fictitious this thing is, it's like you're trying too hard here.
Right, yeah.
So now this does seem like a kind of sci-fi type, not sci, but like just kind of like a sounds fiction. It sounds like it could be complete fiction, and this guy's writing it to get extra like views and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because like most people think the United States did it anyway. So I mean,
it seems far. I mean, it just seems. It seems like something you would see on a movie, like a But also on top of that, it seems so very plausible of like a CIA operative or a Navy SEALs.
And again, it's Biden's MO. You know, or the Biden administration. I'll say that, not Biden, because he's not smart enough to think of this. But I mean, that's exactly what they would do is, well, we told them they needed to get off of it. They didn't do it. So we pushed the button and now they have no choice. They got to move on.
Now, what happens if, I mean, obviously this is completely and utterly false.
Yeah.
But what happens if it's true? Then what?
I'm sure we've given them some money under the table and be like, look,
we'll pay.
Yeah, we're sorry. This is the way it worked. Here's some money to help you get on your feet.
Well, we gave them a really good discount on our fuel.
Right. Yeah.
That's probably how
I'm sure
what happened. We'll import. Yeah. We'll make up the difference. Yeah. We'll give you free fuel for what, like 20 years or something like that.
Yeah. We'll dip into the reserves.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll send this over to you.
So you don't think if it even came public that there would be that big of a deal? Like if it came out and it was just blatantly like, yeah, obviously the US did this. You don't think the EU would at least put on a face to be like, we're outraged?
I mean, they might have, but they probably weren't going to do anything. I mean, look at Victoria Nuland with Ukraine. She said, fuck the EU, right? We're putting this guy in anyways.
That's fair. But I feel like the EU has to put on a face.
They may have said, I feel like we're greatly disappointed in you.
Yeah.
And the US is like, okay.
I mean, they're making the money under the table one way or another, and they're making bank off it, bankrolling. Yeah. But for the people there, they have to put on a face that we're not under.
Yeah.
We're not going to get leaned on by the big bad US like all these other countries do. They'd have to come out and be like, dude, what the fuck? And they're like, you're going to have to chip in a little more because this wasn't supposed to become public. But dude, what the fuck? How you, this is an outrage. How dare you attack our sovereign energy or whatever? And it's just like, all right, chip in another $1 billion.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and that's my curiosity with this is because, we've heard that Europe's under this energy crisis currently, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if people are starting to feel this pinch, right? And I mean, people start freezing to death or whatever, I don't know. I mean, would the governments have to do something?
Now, I've come to decide that the governments don't really give a shit
I
as long as
guess
they're getting paid enough
Right.
money. Like, they don't particularly care if their
Yeah.
people are freezing to death. As long as if you chip into the front the bill, that's fine. What? We're freezing. It's like, yeah, but they're paying us a
Because-
lot of money.
I mean, look what way Germany's gone since this. I mean, they've started investing in coal again, right? I mean, Greta Thunberg is having a freaking like stroke.
Well, that's another thing. Like, to be so like climate centered,
Yes.
to blow up a pipeline under the ocean. I mean, look at what happened with BP
Right.
in the Gulf of Mexico,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it just leaked
Yeah.
for days and days and days, and everybody's like, "Oh, the fish are gonna die and the
Right.
turtles and
Yes.
stuff." Where's the outrage for, like, if anybody chose, especially somebody in this whole climate conglomerate of countries, including the United States, was like, "Yeah, let's just blow up this pipeline and just leak oil
Yeah.
into, or leak natural gas into the ocean." That's fine. Well, like,
Right.
where's Greta Thunberg with this?
Yeah.
Or where's freaking AOC with this?
Right.
Saying like, how are we just gonna sanction just
Yeah.
polluting the oceans
Right.
for I don't know how many days. It probably was easier to fix than plugging the freaking BP
I
thing.
mean, yeah, they cranked the valve shut, and so I mean, it was probably a couple tons of oil, but
yeah, but still enough that you think
Yeah,
they'd make a big deal
killed some
about it.
fish. Yeah, you would think so because they make a big deal out of everything like that.
And it's interesting, even it doesn't matter who this was, whether Russia, like, remember they tried to say Russia sabotaged their own pipeline,
Right,
which
yeah.
makes no sense
Right.
at all when they could just shut it off.
Yeah.
No climate activism of this whatsoever, which tells
Yeah.
me that climate, like the whole climate idea is just surface level.
Oh,
like,
fuck
people
yes.
don't actually give it, the
Yes.
governments don't actually give a shit about it, or they
Yeah.
wouldn't be blowing up oil
Exactly.
pipelines. And there would be actually activism when it comes to things like that.
Right.
And when it comes to things like the next story I want to talk about that they're covering up, which is this whole railroad derailment where
Yeah.
they release toxic chemicals, like weapons grade toxic chemicals, into the air. Where's Greta Thunberg? Like, this isn't being covered at all, and people are like, "Oh, just go back home. That's fine."
Yeah.
There's no where's the climate, like, or the environmentalists that are
Right.
like, you're killing the geese or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not hearing about it. Those people would be throwing soup at paintings right now, you would
Right.
think, if they actually cared.
Right. Yeah.
But you're not
they
hearing
don't.
any of that. You don't hear any of that. It is time to get to a break. I want to get to that story next because that one is really interesting to me. But this whole Nord
Yeah.
Stream thing, if it's real, why is nobody talking about it?
Right. Because the appropriate parties have been paid.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. But if that's the case, then why? Who cares if it's covered up or not?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Tell us what you think about this Nord Stream thing. Is it real? Is it fiction? Are they? Did the U.S. I do have a feeling the U.S. blew it up. If
Oh,
anybody
fuck
did, it
yes.
was the U.S.
Yeah.
because it's our MO.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go to break. We're gonna take 2 or 3 minutes, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about more stuff that we're not focused on because UFOs are flying around in the sky. So, hold on to your pants. We'll be back in just a moment.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net.
Time for you. You've got too much on your mind to be so conscious and not just believing every sorry thrown away. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candle like vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be. Faceless in between. I know you can handle it. To face the truth of the matter, it's still so much better to leave the light and drag it to your grave. Because you see what to make of this. How you can turn your own tables and work this. And take advantage of your failure like you planned to anyway. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candle like vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be. The faceless in between. You're still alive, but you've been dead inside for a long time. And I understand why. But you did this to yourself. You did this to them. You don't even remember the name. Why should anybody remember you? Why should anyone give you another shot? You know the wrong. You know you deserve to be forgotten. Now you're everything you always disguised. You always reveal to all these lies. You always never to cover up what you have done. We already know. We already know. Wake up and be better before you get to that side. We address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candle like vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be. The faceless in between. Time for you. You've got too much on your mind to be so conscious and not just believing every sorry thrown away. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We hold a candle like vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be. Faceless in between. I know you can handle it. To face the truth of the matter, it's still so much better to leave the light and drag it to your grave. Because you see what to make of it.
And we're back.
All right.
We spent a little bit of time talking about UFOs.
UAPs.
UAPs, no UFOs. They're UFOs.
They are. They'll always be UFOs to me.
They sound like boomers. Like, I'm not changing what I'm calling them.
Pluto's a planet, damn it.
Pluto is a planet.
It is.
Is Pluto back to being a planet? I don't know.
I don't. You know,
Dwarf
I haven't
planet.
been following it. I gave up on Pluto.
So, again, where are we at? Again, like we said that everybody's hyper focused on the sky.
Yes.
To keep us from knowing what's going on here. So what did we do? The first half, we kind of hyper focused on sky, but I wanted to make it a point to get to like what's going on here. What they're not talking about. And we talked about the Nord Stream 2 attack. I'd call it an attack.
I would say so. Yes.
I mean, if Russia was to do that to one of our pipelines, we'd call it an attack.
It'd be an act of war.
It would be an act of war.
Absolutely.
What if Britain did it to one of us? Then what would it be? Would it still be an act of war?
No.
No, you don't think so?
No, it would. It'd be a diplomatic incident.
Okay, so maybe we call it a diplomatic incident. But now I want to get into this train wreck that nobody is talking about, really.
Yes.
Like, literally isn't really being discussed at all. Let me get rid of the music. That did not get rid of it. It just played it again. So this was something I'm like, probably not that big a deal. But the more I read about it, the more of a big deal it is. And the fact that nobody's talking about it is really freaking crazy to me. Yeah. Like I haven't seen this just pop up on timelines or anything like that. I just happened to come across the article on Zero Hedge today saying, hey guys, we should be talking about this.
And I wasn't even really paying attention to it until today, when you're like, well, let's look at some of the things that they're not talking about. And then I looked into it and I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah. And I was like, maybe we could almost do a whole episode on this train wreck.
Yeah.
Because this says, get the hell out of there. Ohio's apocalyptic chemical disaster rages on. So they have an update here, but I want to start from the beginning. It says, while the U.S. government is dispensing millions of dollars in resources to treat balloons as an existential crisis, a small town in Ohio finds itself engulfed in what actually looks like the apocalypse. Perhaps by design, all the drama surrounding violations of U.S. airspace by Chinese spy initiatives has done well to keep what is becoming the worst environmental disaster in recent memory from getting any headlines. So, almost sounds exaggerated, but again, the more you read, it's not at all. Says the chaos began as early as last week when a train of more than 100 cars derailed in East Palestine. I think it's pronounced Palestine here in the United States. Palestine, Ohio, near the state's border with Pennsylvania, with roughly 5,000 residents. The accident launched 50 of those 100 freight cars from the tracks. 20 of the cars on the train were carrying hazardous materials, 10 of which were detailed. So we know what was in 10 of the 20. We still don't know what's in the 20.
Right.
Now, from what I've heard, it took them 10 days to tell the public what was in those 10 in those 10 cars. 10 fucking days.
Yeah.
You're telling me there's not like some kind of train record saying exactly what is in each one of those cars, exactly how much, exactly what, like, there's a freaking MSDS or whatever they call them these days, or an SDS on each one of them. We know what is in.
Absolutely.
If we don't, somebody really fucked up.
Yeah. And I heard, by the day they're finding new chemicals.
Well, yeah, again, they know what's in these cars. The fact that they are waiting to release it to the public, the people that are there and have been allowed to go back to their homes, they're now finding out what exactly is in the air they're breathing. That should be a criminal itself.
Absolutely.
To not notify, oh, guys, it's fine. It's okay. Evacuate for now. But okay, now things are clear to go back home.
You can go back home. Yeah.
But there was this potentially in the air.
Yeah.
Says the chaos began early last week when a train of more than I read this.
And I don't know if it says in there, but they said that the reason why it derailed is because there was a cracked. The track was cracked.
Well, I had heard that there was potentially a bad bearing on the train. The blame's being thrown all over the place because. So, rewind about a month ago, the train unions were about to go on strike because of lack vacation days, lack of personnel, lack of this, lack of that.
The
You know,
usual.
the usual, yes. But apparently these railroad corporations have like minimized things to like the bare bones minimum to keep the profits higher and keep things running. They have the inspection for each car is down to 90 seconds per car to inspect before they let this train go. So I mean, how are you going to know if a wheel bearing is broken? So some are saying the wheel bearing is broken, which would throw the blame on the inspector or the people that cut down the inspection. But if the track is broken, then that's a more of a
railroad company thing.
Well, yeah, but it's like an infrastructure type thing more than it is.
Yes.
So, I mean, you could throw the blame at a lot of people just between those two things. Says in order to address the volatile scenario around the crash site, the Ohio Emergency Management Agency executed its plan of venting the toxic gas with a controlled burn in order to evade an uncontrolled explosion, which presented the risk of catastrophic damage. So in order to keep it from building up and just having a mass explosion, they just leaked it, like vented it out and just control burned it into the atmosphere. Just let it burn, and then like black cloud
should be fine.
You see it. I mean, that's normal.
And you've seen the pictures of the black cloud. I mean, it looks like
it's black.
It's fucking devastating looking.
So here's the wreck. Yeah, there's the black cloud there, the black smoke that's burning out, which is fine. We're okay with you going back because we're controlled burning that. It says. Within the last 2 hours, a drastic temperature change had taken place in a rail car, and there was now the potential of a catastrophic tanker failure, which could cause an explosion with the potential of deadly shrapnel traveling up to a mile. So if they didn't control this burn and one of those tankers exploded, that would be pretty catastrophic. Yeah, that's a big ass bomb. Like a mile, throwing shrapnel a mile, that's a big ass bomb. Says, however, that operation sent large plumes of smoke containing vinyl chloride, phosgene, which phosgene was a chemical weapon used in World War I. Used to like kill Germans in World War I or vice versa. I don't know. Hydrogen chloride, which is bleach,
which is poisonous.
Bleach in the air. And other gases into the air as the flames from the controlled burn raged for days. Phosgene in particular is a highly toxic gas that can cause vomiting and respiratory trouble. The toxicity of phosgene gas is so potent it was previously used as a chemical weapon during the First World War. So this is the update. New toxins have been identified. It says we basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open. Apparently, the rail company, though, Norfolk Southern, has already started paying out.
Oh, of course.
They pay $25,000 to the town.
That's it.
$25,000.
Yeah.
And
it'll go up.
Or $5,000 or $5 per resident. Now, what I heard, the only thing they paid for was for like the fire gear, like for additional fire gear. That's all they've agreed to pay so far is additional fire gear. You got people potentially dying.
Yeah.
And all you've agreed to, we'll throw in a couple like fire suits and another truck maybe. No, not even a truck. $25,000 ain't even going to buy a fire truck. So maybe a couple fire hats.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, right.
The hazardous airborne chemical prompted officials to issue mandatory evacuations and shelter-in-place orders within 1 mile radius of where the train derailed. So is it shelter-in-place or evacuation? Because those two
I was going to say totally different things. Yes.
Like, you people need to leave. You people need to stay put.
Yeah, right.
Those orders forced nearly 2,000 residents of East Palestine out of their homes. Despite public safety risk in the proximity of the crash, over 500 people within the parameter of the evacuation order refused to leave. However, these orders were lifted on February 8th, allowing residents to return to the area adjacent to the disaster. There's the plume of smoke. That's the plume. Following the controlled burn, local authorities received multiple concerning reports from residents. Now, this is what you got to listen to.
Yeah.
Let them return home. Everything's going to be fine. Outside of the mile radius of the evacuation, conveying that the emergency posed by the disaster was far from over, a local farmer reported sudden death of many animals on the premises of his farm. Park Dairy, the farmer Taylor Holzer also works with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources as a registered fox keeper. Following the disbursement of chemical agents in the air by the controlled burn, many of his foxes experienced fatal effects from the air quality surrounding the area. Says out of nowhere, the fox just started coughing really hard and just shut down. So animals just dropping dead.
Yeah.
Just drop dead. Dead fish are being pulled out of the river. So now your drinking water is affected. The fish are affected. The crops are affected. The cows, the foxes, everything's affected. And it's not just in that area. You're talking like 10 miles out, people are experiencing the effects. Says Amanda Bresciers found her chickens dead 10 miles from East Palestine. As soon as they started the burn, my chickens slowed down and died. If it can do this to chickens in one night, imagine what it's going to do to us in 20 years.
Yeah.
Holzer's concerns were echoed by reports from other residents who described similar conditions near their properties. One of those was Caitlin Schwarzenwalder, the operator of a local dog kennel in Pennsylvania. The catastrophe caused her to leave her home despite the fact it lies more than 10 miles away. After fleeing to Boardman, Ohio, 15 miles from the derailment, she stated she received multiple reports of dead chickens, fish, and animals from friends and acquaintances. One affected residents told her that they let their 2-year-old dog out to use the bathroom, only it never returned.
Jeez.
They walked out and found it just collapsed and died. And these people have been released to return to their homes within a mile radius of this, but people like 10 miles away are losing their animals.
Yeah.
Immediately. It's not like a slow, painful death. It's just like they walk outside and they just fall over dead.
Yeah.
But everything's fine.
Right.
Does this remind you, like the way the government's handling this, what does this remind you of?
Like every disaster film ever.
Fucking Chernobyl.
Yeah.
This is
Well, that's what
exactly
they
how
said.
Chernobyl went.
They Chernobyl, Ohio.
Yeah. Well, not just like you could say, well, this isn't a nuclear. We don't fucking know that yet.
No.
We don't know the effects of it yet.
But just the
fact that they're like, oh, everything's fine.
Right.
When people are like saying,
no,
it's not fine.
Yeah.
My animals
Our
are
animals
dying.
are dying.
Derek says, if they float one of those tanks up a few miles and blow it up, they could take out a UFO or two with the explosion. I'm guessing you meant. Then he said, shelter in place, but only if you're within shrapnel range of the explosion.
Yeah, right.
That makes sense.
That's government.
Says the magnitude of those risks hasn't been apparently recognized by the leadership across the states affected by the disaster. According to Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, there are no concerns regarding the air and water quality in the area.
As he says from Hawaii.
As fish are fucking floating dead. There's no
chickens are
concerns.
dying, dogs are dying.
Dogs are dropping dead.
Yeah.
Foxes are like freaking the hell out.
He's in fucking like Florida right now saying, don't worry, guys, there's nothing to worry about.
He reiterated, though, that a shelter-in-place order remains in effect for Pennsylvania within 2 miles of East Palestine. So that's the governor of Pennsylvania, not the governor
of Ohio.
But still within range that
because
people are
you
feeling
figure
effects.
if that, and I'm sure the article is going to get to this, but the water supplies in that area are also contaminated.
Yeah, they had pretty much told them to use your alternate water supplies. It's like, what about people that don't have alternate water supplies? This is why you should prepare and have alternate water supplies, people, because this shit obviously happens.
Yeah.
And do you have a train that runs through your town? Because I sure have a train that runs through
yeah,
my
we
town.
do.
Lots of trains. So, I mean, if this can happen there, it can imagine that in a more concentrated area, because that's just a small town, 5,000, which is why people don't freaking care.
Yeah, imagine if it happened here in our
or
town.
in like middle of Chicago or somewhere bigger.
Any other big city that has multiple trains.
It says, while the immediate risk presented by a possible explosion may have been averted, the emergency response may become an instance of a cure being worse than the disease it seeks to remedy. The accidents also bring the state of safety regulation surrounding rail transport of hazardous freight into a new light. Over the last 5 years alone, 8 train derailments have occurred in Pittsburgh metro area, leading to calls for increased oversight over the industry. Despite the inherent risk comes with transporting chemicals like vinyl chloride, the U.S. Department of Transportation approved a rule to expand the scope of what hazardous materials can be transmitted by rail. The rule made it permissible for liquefied natural gas to be shipped by train without additional safety regulation. This enables freight trains to transport 100 more tank cars with up to 30,000 gallons of natural gas extracted from shale fields. The risk of catastrophic liquefied natural gas release in accidents is too great not to have operational controls in place before large blocks of tank cars and unit trains proliferate. So they're really focusing on the safety concerns of the rail industry and the transporting of these chemicals, but not really focusing so much on the immediate effects of Chernobyl in Ohio right now.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that are going to die.
Yes.
Lots.
And
like,
if they don't die now, they're going to get cancer or something and die.
and the government's going to cover it up until like some like Better Call Saul type lawyer comes in and has a class act.
Aaron Brockovich.
Like in like 20 years from now, it's like, did you live in or near East Palestine, Ohio, and the dates of this? Call Hupy, Murphy, and Jones to
a class action.
After they're all
fucking
dead.
Yeah.
But again, it's so reminiscent of Chernobyl, the way they're like, well, no, the core didn't explode and everything's fine, and you guys are fine within this radius, and people are coming out and they're like, no, you got to evacuate this. Well, we can't have that. That's going to look really fucking bad if we do that. So if we do that, we're admitting that we were wrong, and that's going to look bad for the Soviet Union. And then what was it like? I mean, it was days before they decided to make public that this is a big disaster. You guys need to get the hell out. And nobody can live here for another 25, 50, 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. And here we are 30 years now later, and it's still
40 years.
Yeah, completely deserted.
Yeah, still no life there. But here they're like burning these war grade chemicals in the sky, and they're like, everything's fine. The water's fine. There's no problem with the drinking water. No concern with the air quality. It's like, why did my dog die?
Yeah, right.
It's like,
why are the birds dropping out of the air?
Obviously, that's due to climate change.
Yeah, right.
Obviously, it's due to like they're doing with all the heart issues now. It's like, well, increased climate change can lead to premature heart attacks. Well, now that's going to apply to farm animals and the wheat crops in Ohio.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh, it's just obviously climate change.
Yeah.
Again, that makes me ask the question, where are all the climate activists making this so public? Like, why aren't they bringing attention to this environmental disaster like
from
Chernobyl?
the railways? I mean, to me, this is much more damaging than any oil
UFO.
liner. Well, yeah, that too. But any oil liner, you know.
But I mean, the crazy thing is, again, it's not being reported in the mainstream news.
Yeah.
But the reporters that are trying to report it are getting arrested for doing so.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
I did.
Like, here's a video. This guy, he's just a reporter on the ground at the governor's like speech thing, and he got fucking arrested.
Lay flat, please. You guys, he's a national correspondent. You cannot do this.
I'm a reporter with News Nation. It's all being recorded right now.
I hope it is. This is horrible.
Because you can't talk to people about doing their jobs.
Oh my God, I cannot believe this.
What's that?
This is horrible.
This is what it's like to be a black reporter. In
Evan, I'm so
2023.
sorry. Evan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sia.
Roll over, sir.
Can you please loosen this because it hurts?
That one's a little tight, so we are. Oh my God.
Thank you very much.
This is horrible.
Can someone help me?
Yeah, we're helping. Evan, I'm sorry.
The Pentagon is
Evan,
going to
I'm
enjoy
sorry.
hearing about it. I can't tell.
So there was a lady she was the one filming with her phone, filming the police.
The one that kept saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think she knew him or something because she's like, he's been here all week. Why are you arresting him? He's like, I'm doing my job. You're arresting me for reporting on this?
Yeah.
And they arrested him for disorderly conduct and trespassing.
Yeah.
Even though he's at a public event.
They said he was being too loud.
Yeah, he was like talking too loud, reporting on this thing. And even the governor afterwards was like, well, I don't know. He shouldn't have been arrested. It's like, but then the police chief came out and he's like, no, he should have. He was being disorderly. And they said it turned into like a physical altercation. It's like, did he look like he was being physically altercating?
He even said, can you loosen this? It's a little tight. And they're like, oh yeah. And he's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Did he look like he was putting up a fight? He was like resisting or anything. He's just like, why are you arrested? I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Like, again, the mainstream's not touching it, but the people that are, they're being completely shut out of it.
Right.
like can't even talk about it. Or
Yeah.
I don't know the exact reason why he got arrested, because apparently I think there were other reporters there, but
yeah,
I don't think they liked how he was reporting on it, maybe.
right, yeah,
So yeah, they're just like stopping the people that actually want to get the information out there.
right, yeah.
And that seems like it would fall under the constitutional protections of like freedom of the press
A
and
little
things like
bit,
that. I mean, is
yes,
that a
yeah.
public government, like governor's
Yeah.
speech?
And I'm curious, like, again, was he covering something that they felt was hazardous, like he shouldn't be saying? Like,
But it all
get the
should be
fuck out.
said.
Oh,
It all should
absolutely.
be said. There's no, in this scenario, there's no like, don't say that because of risk of panic. It's like, you should be telling us everything,
Oh,
every
fuck yeah.
chemical, every
Yes.
not only every chemical, but all the
Yes.
freaking side effects that come with those
Yeah.
chemicals. Even if there might be the minor potential, give us the information so we can
It
decide
almost
for
sounds like
ourselves if we
they
want to
should
get
been
the
like,
fuck
well,
out.
if you're within the 10, 15-mile radius, you need to get the fuck out.
That's sure. That's, I mean, if chickens and cows are dying 10 miles away, why are they allowed? I mean, the school opened back up in the
Right.
town.
Oh, yeah.
And like
Yeah.
everything's just opened back up, and it's just like,
Yeah.
what? I mean, who's to blame when those kids start just
Yeah.
growing like
Their
hands
hair
out of
starts
their
falling
ears, or
out
their
and teeth falls out and
eyeballs
shit.
just glass over
Yeah.
and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, it's climate change. It's
Well,
nothing
yeah.
to do with
Well,
like.
and yeah, that's what they'll end up coming. Or then's when they'll come out and be like, well, it looks like there's something wrong with that batch of vaccine.
No, they'll never go that
Yeah,
far.
I know that.
I mean, they'll start blaming all the
Yeah. It was the UFOs.
well, they'll start blaming the heart attacks on this Ohio Chernobyl
yeah.
here in the next year or
Right,
so. Maybe that's what they wanted. They're
That's-
like,
yeah.
let's set off a chemical thing, so that way all these like athletes that are dropping
Right.
dead, we can just blame it on the chemicals in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, like, no activists,
No.
no like environmentalists,
Barely a mention.
barely even talked about. It's
Yeah.
just like, in other news, a rail car derailed in Ohio and spilled chemicals
Yeah.
into the air.
Right. And that's all you hear.
And a mass shooting occurred over
Yeah. Right.
UFOs were shot down
Yeah.
in Lake Huron, and we're like, wait, what?
Yeah. How about Rihanna being pregnant?
Yeah.
Right?
How bad do you think this gets?
I think it's going to get really bad. I do. Again, the amount of toxins being released in the atmosphere and into the water. I mean, I think it's going to get really bad.
I mean, you spill gasoline on the freaking grass,
Yeah.
and you got to call in specialists to like dig up every ounce of that until
Yeah.
they get down to where they're not testing. Like, it's a major fucking deal if you spill
Yeah.
any sort of chemical on the
Oh, yeah.
grass, especially if it gets into like a storm sewer
Right.
or
Yeah.
or a water, some form
Yeah.
of water. Then it's an even bigger deal.
Yeah.
But because this is the rail cars or the rail union or whatever,
Yeah.
the railway
Right.
corporations. I mean, those people have been fucked up big money towards government
Yes.
since their existence.
Yes.
I mean, they've gotten away with so much shit since the railway companies came into
Yeah.
existence. Have you ever watched what was Hell on Wheels? Did you ever see that one?
Uh-uh.
Oh my gosh, you got to watch that.
Well, you know who the top 10 owners of the Norfolk Southern Core Railroad, do you?
What's that?
3 of the top 10 railroad owners for the Norfolk Southern Core is Vanguard, JP Morgan, and BlackRock.
No fucking way.
Yes. Yep.
So of this one or
of this one.
So nobody's gonna take a
No,
fall
no
for
one's gonna
this
say shit.
because they own the United States. These
Yes.
people own the United States.
Yeah.
They're the ones that make the rules for the United States and for the corporations, and
Yep.
they're the ones that own the politicians and they own the media. So that explains why this
Yeah.
ain't getting out in the media, because those corporations that own the railway own the media and
Yes.
everything else in this freaking country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had sent me one more thing. First of all, John Wood is here. He
Hi, John
says, what do you guys think of the 2 national anthems at the Super Bowl? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they did like they did the one by Babyface.
Okay.
And then Chris Stapleton did one, and I'm not sure why they did 2.
Was it the Black National Anthem?
No,
Or was
they
it
were
2 of the national anthem?
2 of the national
So a
anthems.
black guy singing and a white guy sang it, but the same national anthem?
Yes.
Why didn't they sing it at the same time?
Right? That would have been like coming together.
So the last thing I want to talk about, you would think, but that, God forbid that.
Yeah.
Sort of. You had sent me this article And as soon as I read the first sentence, I was like, "Oh, this shit goes deep. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get this in real time for the show."
Yeah.
So let's pull this up. Says and this is just somebody posting on
Yeah.
Facebook. So
Yeah.
it's not. There's no. Are you sending me shit? Stop sending me shit.
No, I didn't send you anywhere.
It says this was planned by design or false flag. This is a thread of info that you absolutely should read ASAP. Ohio's Chernobyl. Farmlands, water, FF. I don't know what that means.
It's fucked.
New reports indicate deadly vinyl chloride has contaminated the Ohio River as far as West Virginia, a water source for over 5 million people. 10% of the U.S. population, over 30 million people, live in the Ohio River basin. The Ohio River itself provides drinking water to 5 million people. Ohio River, a water source for 10%. Yeah, you already said that.
Yeah,
It's
right.
contaminated with vinyl chloride. Congressman Jamal Bowman tweeted, nearly 1 million pounds of vinyl chloride were on this train. Now the EPA has confirmed it's entered the Ohio River basin, which is home to 25 million people. Just to put this in perspective, contaminated Ohio River is the largest tributary of the Mississippi. The vinyl chloride burn occurred near the Ohio River, which flows directly into the Mississippi. Wow, this is very repetitive.
Yeah, right.
We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open. We read that.
Yes.
The 3 additional toxic chemicals have been found. Multiple train derailments happening across the United States. One in Montgomery County, Texas.
Oh, that's what I mentioned right before we went on.
And one in Spartanburg County, South Carolina. The EPA released a manifest last night from Norfolk Southern summarizing the chemicals that were released. 3 cars of diethylene glycol, 1 car of polypropyl glycol, 1 car of propylene glycol, 2 cars of polyethylene, 2 cars of polyvinyl, and 5 cars of petroleum. Pennsylvania kennel owner. Yeah, we read all that stuff.
Part.
Phosgene is highly toxic, colorless gas with a strong odor that causes vomiting and breathing trouble, used during World War I. Hydrogen chloride is a colorless, yellowish gas with a strong odor that causes skin, eye, nose, and throat irritation. Wisconsin's Department of Health says exposure to vinyl chloride can affect a person's liver, kidney, lung, spleen, nervous system, and blood. Human and animal studies show higher rates of liver. So basically all this is saying the only thing more in this that I've gotten is the extent of the Ohio River.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty bad.
The only other thing I saw in here that was interesting in this whole little stack of things, besides the owners of the railroad, is that apparently, let's see if I can find it here. Hold on. Okay.
John says the African American national anthem was played and the other was the American anthem.
Oh, okay. Fuck, where'd it go? So apparently Netflix released a movie called White Noise last year, and it had to do with a railroad carrying toxic chemicals derailing in Ohio.
So setting the stage for something.
Yes.
So do you think there's potential that this could possibly be false flag too?
Yeah.
Like what would this be? Like why?
The only thing I can think of is if Biden is trying to get some kind of regulation over the railroad or some kind of infrastructure bill through, which he's talked about a lot.
Yeah. Well, there's the infrastructure bill. Then, like I said, again, back to the conveniently happened a month ago. Like we talked about with the UFOs, how conveniently a month ago they released that report. Well, conveniently a month ago was when the workers were trying to strike and the Congress came out and said, no, you're not going to fucking strike.
Yeah.
You're not going to shut down this country. And so I don't know. Could this be like some sort of like payback to say,
yeah,
look, this is why we need to fucking strike. We told you so type moment.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good point.
Would you put it past the rail union to do something so devastating like this?
Yeah, I would. I mean, that's big bucks right there.
I mean, unions have been known to do some pretty scurvy things in
yeah.
in their days, but I mean, this seems pretty
Yeah,
It
right.
seems pretty bad. That's
Unless they just they got the wrong railroad.
I mean,
right?
that is legitimately domestic terrorism
fuck
right
yeah.
there. If they caused this, if the unions were like, let's just overlook this, or let's make this bearing bad, or let's
right.
detach this here and cause this
Yeah.
freak accident, so we can turn around and say, "Told you so." We need
Right.
we need more money, or we need more vacation days, or we
Right.
need more people.
Yeah, right.
I don't care how shitty your work environment is. That would be a shitty thing
Right.
to do.
Yeah,
It
and
just
thus-
seems convenient that happened
Right.
again a month after they came out. They're like, well, if you don't meet our demands, what's going to happen when the next
Right.
like cataclysmic railroad
Right.
derailment happens?
And maybe they loosened the bearing, not realizing there was going to be all these chemicals on the train.
Or didn't realize it would crash in a town.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
John says, the funny thing about the train wreck, if you ever seen the movie Close Encounters, the same scenario, so the government can go and chase after UFOs.
That's weird.
So there's a train wreck, so they can go chase UFOs. Like,
so in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that the government like simulates a train crash so they can cover up UFO stuff.
Whoa. Now that's a connection to the show I didn't know was going to be made.
Yeah, me neither.
So what do you think's likely the scenario here? Do you think, like, we think the UFOs are kind of a cover up for all the shit going on, but
what if the train is the cover
are
up?
The UFOs a cover up for the train, which is a cover up for, like, how deep does this go?
Right.
Like, how many layers of cover up is this shit? Like,
No
this
shit.
is like, I don't know, but I feel like the direct concern right now is all the chemicals burning in Ohio and
in
leaking
the Ohio River.
and leaking into the Ohio River, which is or is not the largest tributary, which Derek Ambrose says, I'm pretty sure the Missouri is the largest, which I would have
Missouri
to concur to that.
Yes.
But Ohio must be big. 25 million people like serviced by this one river, which is a lot.
Yeah, right.
Considering
that goes down to West Virginia.
And, and all the way out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, shit. I mean, could you imagine that many people just dropping dead from whatever this is going on? How do you cover that up?
I have to think that there's not enough to affect that many people that far away, but in the direct, I'm more concerned about the direct radius right now, which they have decided all of a sudden have decided it's fine, just go back. It's like dogs are dying,
right?
Chickens are dying. I'm not going back.
So would they go so far to, like, I mean, if this was something that was direct correlation, like result of their actions, would they go so far to simulate like some kind of foreign attack on a town in Ohio?
Oh, absolutely, they would.
Be like, oh,
or
shit.
UFOs attack the train.
Yeah,
that's probably it. Now, how big does this have? How out of hand does this have to get before the government turns around and says this is a big deal? Kind of like Chernobyl. Like how many people were infected and affected by this before the Soviet Union is like, my bad, guys. Like we have to own up to this one now because some scientist came out and said this is actually a big deal.
I think if people start dropping dead by the truckloads, I mean, they don't have a choice but to.
But people are dropping dead by the truckloads over some other thing that's going on in the country
I know
right now that we are not allowed to.
But that's climate
make the
change.
Connection. Exactly. Like
it's not in a centralized area.
Yeah, I guess there's that. Like, but still, you can connect.
You can
dots
connect the dots. Yes,
very easily. So I don't know. Like the blame game goes so far these days that
it does.
I think it could be 20 years from now before they start saying no, that was that railroad problem there. The last thing I wanted to bring up, and it's not as big of a deal, it's just worth mentioning just because it's sitting out there and nobody's really talking about. Apparently, Jeffrey Epstein's documents are going to be made public, his client list or whatever.
Yes.
And what distraction is going to be out there? Is this going to be a big deal, first of all? And are they going to distract from that to keep us
for
from
years
seeing?
we've been waiting on this huge bomb to drop, and my thought is that it's
going to be a dud.
It's going to be a dud.
I think so too. But I don't know if 5 people are indicted on this, or just
Right?
publicly shamed to
Just
the point.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. If 5 people get publicly shamed to the point where they can
Yeah.
no longer like exist in society,
Right.
I'd be all right with that. It's 5 more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've read that like 5 of the major players are dead now. Right.
Yeah, and those are going to be the names released.
They're right, exactly. Maybe one's Bush.
That's kind of what I was wondering.
That would
if
be
maybe
crazy.
Poppy Bush is one of them.
Yeah.
So it says names of multiple associates of Jeffrey Epstein will soon be released, according to a news report. All told, 167 names that include those of associates, victims, employees, and alleged perpetrators will be made public. Probably 165 of those are victims.
Right.
And we're going to get like 3 dead associates. Says the Mail is the Daily Mail is who first reported on this. It says the Mail said it understood that Britain's Prince Andrew would be among the named.
Which he's the one that we've all known. Him and Dershowitz are the one that everybody knows.
But the thing is, Virginia Roberts, the person that accused of him and who was in the picture, apparently she's come out and said she was wrong and he wasn't involved with Epstein.
That's
I missed that
big mistake
because she that was a big public thing for her and him.
That was the one thing of credibility she had.
I think there was a major payoff.
I think so too.
There was like some major payoff that she's just like, okay,
here's $25 million. He was a prince. Was it that bad?
Just walk away.
Right.
Apparently Alan Dershowitz is also expected to be named.
We knew that one.
It says, although Virginia Roberts was among the alleged victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation, she has said she was wrong to claim he was. Oh no, that was Alan Dershowitz, I guess.
Oh, okay.
She was wrong to claim Dershowitz was part of it.
Still payoff.
But apparently he's, and this isn't coming out saying these guys are part. It's just naming people involved in the trials.
And we thought Dershowitz was because he's the one that got Epstein off originally.
Yes. Gross. The names became part of the legal system when Jeffrey or Roberts brought suit against Ghislaine, whatever, Maxwell in 2015. That has since been settled, although material from it has been coming out in dribs and drabs. Maxwell was convicted of sex trafficking in 2021. Epstein died in 2019 while awaiting trial. Says the documents that are being made public are emerging because various people named, currently identified as John or Jane Doe, have waived their objection to their names being made public. So these people, so it's probably a big bunch of nothing because they're like,
yeah, go ahead,
covered up as Jane Doe or John Doe. It's like, you don't got nothing on me. Go ahead and name me.
Right.
Fine. That's fine. So again, it's probably going to be a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Says the document filed Wednesday includes details about some of those names will be revealed, which includes a witness at Maxwell's trial whose name has been used publicly, whose name had been used publicly then. Others include assistant state attorney who appears to have a link to the 2007 charges against Epstein. Who was that? He was in like Trump's White House. I can't think who that was.
What I thought, yeah.
One person is called a public figure by Maxwell's lawyer who had objected to the name being released because it appears only in Epstein's Black Book of Contracts. Was it his Black Book of Contacts or Black Book of people that flew on his jet?
Exactly, yeah.
Because if they release the Black Book of people on his jet and confirm and verify all these people, then that raises so many questions and concerns.
Right.
Another who is dead was accused of serious wrongdoings in the documents. 4 others whose names will be made public are also accused of serious wrongdoings. So we got at least 5 people whose names are accused of serious wrongdoing. So I'd like to hear those. Again, that's not saying they're guilty. It's just saying somebody accused them.
Yeah.
One individual who is called an Epstein affiliate drew an objection from Maxwell's legal team, which noted the items the plaintiff hopes to unseal contain a number of salacious, unproven allegations. One name will be that of what is called an alleged Epstein affiliate and alleged perpetrator who is now dead, but allegations about the person were widely reported in the media. Any idea who that would be? I was trying to think of who that would be. Somebody who's dead, who's widely reported in the media to have had connections to Epstein. If you know, let us know because I don't know.
I can't think.
Derek says, fun fact, The Crazies was filmed in Lenox, Iowa, a town not far from where I lived most of my life. Was not aware of that. It says it'll be the movie, the crazies and the government will bomb the area and say it was a fertilizer plant that blew up. Yeah, that's probably what's
That
going to
makes
happen
sense to
there.
me. Yes.
Referring back to
Yes,
the
the
train,
train.
not the Epstein stuff. Maybe the Epstein stuff. So if you know who this Epstein affiliate was that's died, who is widely reported in media, hit us up in the comments right now because I'm really
Could it
curious
be
to know who that is.
Teddy Kennedy?
I mean, he wasn't really
I don't remember.
blown up in the media about it.
No.
Documents made no hint as to whether there will be any revelation about former President Bill Clinton, who has been linked to Epstein. 2 witnesses who were privy to the workings of the ring have described seeing Clinton in flesh on the bill.
In flesh.
I don't want to know about Clinton in flesh on the billionaire's private island of Little St. James. Those trafficked by Epstein have described being victimized on the island, often while underage. And this goes and goes and goes, but we pretty much got the gist of it.
Yes.
That this is coming out. This is news. Pay attention because I mean, there's a good chance this is a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
But if it is something, they're going to hard cover it up and make you stare at shiny things in the sky,
right?
And not pay attention to the fact that Epstein's book is coming out,
or towns blowing up,
Yes, a lot of things going on here. Those are the 3 I wanted to point out. Did you have any other happenings out there? That
there was the I mean, they're not as big as this, but there's the 9/11 corroborator that got released from prison.
Oh yeah. Al Qaeda op or whatever got released from Cuba. Yeah, we talked a little about that last week, I think. Yeah, but yeah, these are like 3 things, major things in the
news.
news.
Has Biden given any more weapons to Ukraine? Is that could be a cover up?
Probably.
Like, oh yeah,
sure.
you got jets now.
I mean, we did miss the State of the Union address. That's pretty big.
I watched it. That was a joke.
How was that?
Oh my gosh, that was just him patting himself on the back. Just blaming Republicans for shit and just talking about how we got to finish the job. You got to reelect me so we can finish the job.
Now, I watched a couple minutes of it, and from what I got, it sounded like, because everybody's like, I'd seen on Twitter, people like, nobody can say that Joe Biden's not coherent and blah, blah, blah after this speech. It seemed to me like they had put it at like 1.5% or 1.5 speed.
Yeah, I had seen that
because
too,
he was he was talking much faster.
Yeah. They were like,
than usual.
We hadn't seen this much energy in him ever.
So they either doped him up on cocaine,
right,
or they sped up the playback to 1.5 times.
I got something for you to try.
That's probably So I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah,
a big bunch of I don't give a crap.
And that's a lot of what it was. No actual like plans.
Except maybe to ban guns.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, he talked about banning semi-automatic pistols,
which is all pistols,
right? All pistols, because
except
the Chinese
flintlocks.
attack. It was the dance studio attack. He's like, that he killed 10 people, and this is why we need to ban. And then he tried convincing people that the economy is great, job rates are up, there's no inflation, and then he said that illegal immigration's way down, and so just a lot of like bullshit, basically. I had made comments like, I'm like, yeah, because you've let everybody in, so they're not illegal technically.
Now, job rates being up, is that a sign that things are better or worse? Because how many people do you know that have gotten second jobs?
I was going to say, a lot of people are working 2 or 3 jobs.
Now, are the job rates being up?
Yeah.
The people that have to work second jobs, third jobs, because the economy sucks so bad?
Right.
Because that's not a sign that the economy is moving forward.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, back to UFOs.
Yes.
I mean, we've even got like China now accusing the U.S. of sending multiple balloons to China.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Like
America has balloons in every country, I'm sure.
Is China just our like fallback? Like,
I think so.
Story.
Yes.
It's like they're not going to do anything. Just blame China.
Yeah.
People. I mean, they hear China. It's like, well, obviously China did it.
Right.
Like all these stories can be covered up with China. Even the railroad thing, you could be like, well, China, those Chinese parts on the train, they sabotaged our train.
Yeah.
But this whole UFO thing is just kind of crazy how it's just coming out of nowhere. I mean, we've got supposedly, what did it say, like 500 sightings in the last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just now we're deciding to talk about this, like right now.
Yeah.
And we're not only talk about it, but we're deciding to shoot them down.
Right. Yeah.
Go back to that video of those 2 jets following that one.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck didn't those jets shoot that thing down?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Why did we decide now to shoot down 3 things in 3 days when we couldn't shoot down a balloon floating across the entirety of the United States?
Yeah.
The entirety of North America, pretty much, from like the furthest northwest to practically the furthest southeast. But we didn't shoot that down. But now all of a sudden we're shooting down 3 of them in 3 spots.
But it's just like with everything that has happened in the last 5 years, there's so much that they want to push on us, but it doesn't add up.
No, none of it adds up.
It doesn't. And so then you have to feel like, okay, what are they not telling us? What are we missing? What are they trying to slide past us? Because nothing makes sense what they're trying to. I mean, they're just throwing a bunch of word salad at us and hoping something sticks.
Throwing shiny things in the sky and shooting it down. And we're like, oh, pretty.
Yeah.
Like the girl on freaking Independence Day.
Yes.
It's so pretty. Well, like they're Chernobyling the Midwest.
Yeah.
The eastern part of the Midwest and the Ohio River and I blowing up freaking pipelines and shit that we're just not supposed to talk about.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. What do y'all think? What are they covering up? Are they covering up? Are there aliens out there? Derek says the aliens are releasing balloons just to duck with us. I'm guessing he meant to fuck with us.
They might want to duck with us too.
He also said bagged semi-autonomous spy balloons. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Anyway, probably ban semi-automatic spy balloons.
That makes sense too.
I want to ban a semi-automatic spy. I don't know. I have no conclusion to this. I just know that there's a lot of things going on that people aren't talking about. And I didn't want to spend the whole episode again talking about and saying, well, the only reason everybody's talking about this is to detract from that. And we just spent the last 2 hours talking about it. We spent an hour talking about it, but we covered a lot of shit too. So
absolutely.
Final thoughts.
There's a lot of shit going on. So pay attention.
You should be paying attention. You should be some form of prepping too.
Yes.
I don't say this just because I wear a tinfoil hat every day. You should be prepping. I mean, just imagine your water your water supply is just gone. And what the western part of Pennsylvania is like, you guys should start tapping into your alternate reserves of water. And 99% of the people are like, what alternate source? What are you talking about?
Walmart becomes a battle royale.
I mean, what do you think? Steaks over there, they're deadly steaks from the poisonous cows now.
Milk.
Well, on top of that, how many egg factories have shut down because of disease? The food supply is already hurt. So let's hit the bread basket, right in the middle of where all the crops and freaking animals and stuff are produced. Let's hit that pretty hard too. So imagine how that's going to also affect the supply or the food
that's
supply.
already hurting.
Right. Derek says, I can neither confirm nor deny that I may or may not be driving. Shh. Derek, we will or will not tell anybody that you may or may not be driving. Thanks for listening, everybody who's joined in the chats, everybody who's contributed to the conversation, because it makes things more interesting. We like to bounce ideas off you, and we like to hear your crazy thoughts and ideas too. So if you have crazy thoughts of what's really going on, whether it be with the UFOs, whether it be with Ohio Chernobyl, that's what I'm going to call it from now on, is Ohio Chernobyl. Whether it's the Epstein list, if you got any bizarre theories, the crazier the better. We want to hear them. The comment section is always open. We've got our forum on Facebook, which is the Breaking the Bell forum. You can ask to join and we'll let you right in, as long as you are a real person and not some Chinese sex doll or something like that. Also, I like to hang out on Twitter and troll the Twitterverses. So follow me on Twitter at Break the Bell Pod, or follow Bill at Bill Filter 3, even though he's the second, which is bizarre.
I don't know why he gave me I tried to mix it up with some Biden people the other day and nobody bit.
No, well, the problem is you push back. They don't like that. They just probably block you.
That's probably
so you just throw it out there and just let it. It's funny seeing what all the other people respond to you that are on your side, and just kind of collectively bash on those crazies. But I like to troll Twitter, so follow me on Twitter. Follow us, check us out, share, like, subscribe all over the social medias. Go find links to everything we do at our website, which is breakthebellpod.com. Again, let us know what you think. Invite your friends, all that fun stuff we tell you every week. You got any final thoughts, Bill? I already asked you that once, but
you did.
Second final thoughts.
So, second final thoughts are, unfortunately, football season's over.
Thank God.
I'm sure
Baseball
you're happy.
season is kicking off.
Baseball
shortly.
season's around the corner.
Right around the corner.
So that's some good
officially.
news. Good news for people.
We will catch you next time. Make sure you check out all the other stuff we do. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time is the Two Scoops morning show with myself and Dan Smots of the System is Down podcast, where we shoot the shit for a good 20, 30 minutes. You wake up the right way to Two Scoops.
That's right. It's only Tuesday.
Tomorrow is only Tuesday, yes. But you'll appreciate it because you can wake up to Two Scoops of us.
Yes.
So otherwise, be back here. That's Tuesday and Thursday, but be back here next week. Same time, same channel, every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are live. If you're listening in the future, get on that live stream. Join the conversation because it's always a blast. It's always much more fun to get more and more voices and more people involved.
Definitely.
Thank you again to everybody who was involved and participated tonight. We love you for it so much more than everybody else. So if you want to be loved like we love those people, join the live
We
stream.
love you a long time.
Yes. We got to get out of here. We will catch you next time. Have a great rest of your week.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.